Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to Ireland's next match is someone making his 59th Harpin pod appearance. A warm welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
How are we? And just to show you, I want to show you the Irish summer that
Mm.
I'm currently enjoying. Good to see you. Rugby is back, and I am very excited.
He's in an undisclosed location, but all we'll disclose is that he's deep in the heart of GAA country for his sins. But he's okay, and he's a Dubliner as well, so I don't know how he's going to get on. But sure, anyway, listen, we'll crack on. Before we get to the match, you wanted to talk a little bit about. It's been, one thing we worry about more than anything else with these warm-up matches is, of course, injuries, and of course, France had some bad news during the week.
Yeah, and there's two sides of me on this one because, it changes a journey through a tournament, but as well as that, we want to play the best that the opposition can field. And anytime you either pay to see Ntamack or you can watch it from the couch or the bar stool, he's worth the price of admission. So I do feel it's a hit for the tournament. It's a little bit of a hit for France, even though they've starting to get a conveyor belt going there. So I would be gutted not to watch him. And there is a tiny part of me that kind of, when we get to that group game, we're kind of thinking maybe it helps us. I don't really think it's a massive change in what we're going to do, but in terms of enjoyment and watching the game, he will be missed. It sounds like, was it a cruise ship or something that went on him last week?
Yeah.
So hopefully he gets healthy and back as quickly as possible. I'm just gutted that he's going to miss the World Cup. That's it. It's the biggest stage.
Yeah, you want the biggest names there. I mean, obviously, we're talking about Ireland's chances, and France are obviously one of the favorites, especially since they're hosting. And I was saying last week that gives them that extra bit of whatever they call it, secret sauce or whatever that could help them win it this time around. But he's definitely key. I mean, if all you ever saw from Ntamack was that last minute in the top 14 final, you'd know what he's capable of. So, but we do wish him all the best. And there certainly wasn't any celebrations going on, even in the depths of social media. I didn't see anything. It was only people wishing him well. And of course, we're all hoping it doesn't happen to any players, especially from our own team. But anyway, listen, it's time now to harp on our feature match of the week, which is, of course, Ireland against England in week 3 of the Summer Nations Series, also known as the World Cup warm-ups. The match takes place at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, August the 19th, kicking off at 5:30 p.m. Irish time, and can be seen on TV over on RTE2. Ireland announced their starting lineup on Thursday. You can see it there on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, or in the program notes if you're listening to the pod. Keego has picked out 3 headings he'd like to harp on, starting with quite a significant name that's not in the 23.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of names not in the 23. I think Robbie Henshaw is obviously going to be missed. I think it's a weird one when you're going into a World Cup and you're in these World Cup games, World Cup warm-up games, and you kind of go, right, we've been here before, we've trusted our leadership before, but is there an injury? Is there a worry? I think something that popped up on my Facebook memories, we weren't talking about this before, was the Joey Carberry Lansdowne Road pre-World Cup warm-up. And there was a message that I put up on Facebook. It said, Joey is going off the pitch on a stretcher, head in hands, does not look good. And that keeps coming back to me. And I don't know if that's why people are being left out, because I know we need minutes in boots, as we've been saying all the way along. And there's great addition there at number 8. But I think I'm kind of worried that they're worried. I'm under-caffeinated. I'm underslept. So Aki and Ringrose in the middle. I was hoping we could get Henshaw in there because they, in the last 12 months, they haven't had as much time together as the previous 24. But no, who's missing? You know what I mean? What game are we playing? These are the questions that I'm asking. I think it's a big game for between the ears, because we've been against England before where the wheels fell off, speaking of the chariots and stuff. And I'm hoping, and I feel it's going to happen, where this Saturday, tomorrow, as we're talking, there's going to be that tick left beside that white jersey. In terms of people missing, I'm hoping it's not an injury issue.
Yeah, I mean, the IRFU confirmed during the week that there was a few players have been cut from the squads, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of talk about one of them. It was all Gavin Coombs, but it was a shame for all five of them. It was Kylan Blade, Coombs, Calvin Nash, Jamie
Yeah.
Osborne, and Kieran Treadwell. And I mean, it's like 30, 38, 33 into whatever it was, 40, whatever they picked originally. It just doesn't go. And the names were always going to be cut. And obviously the provincial fans of whoever did get cut is weren't going to be happy. But like I've said several times before, I literally don't know what a coach has to do. I don't know if there's a trophy they can win, a winning streak they can go on, or a ranking they can get in the world rankings that they can achieve going into a World Cup. It doesn't guarantee anything, but I don't know how well set they can be in those areas for people to be satisfied, or at least have a bit of faith in the choices they're making and what they're seeing on the training pitch.
Absolutely, we'll never be happy, and that's why we keep talking about it. I think people talk about Coombs and all that sort of stuff, and he's had a great 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, but like I think there's so many back rowers. They almost are trying to say, right, you're a back rower, you're a top level back row, you're a medal winning back row. What else can you do now? Like how are your passing skills? How are your kicking skills? Can you jump and lift in the line out? Like the thing I love about the back row and all that sort of stuff, and Coombs might be a victim of it. I'm not too sure, but it's every single person in that line out, bar our kind of front row. I'm not saying they can't; they just haven't yet. Can jump and lift, and like there's very few teams around the world that can do that to the level that are. If you look at Ryan, and if you say Baird or Byrne or Henderson, all of them can lift and they can jump. You look at the back row, Van der Fleer, O'Mahony, Conan, insert whoever, they can all jump and lift, which makes Sheehan's job far easier. You can pick one of 5 targets in there sometimes. If they want to go the old Warren Gatland and put everyone in there, nearly everyone can jump and lift. So I don't know if that's what's cost a couple of these guys who have gone home, but at the end of the day, the experience is gonna go and stay with them for a long time. They can slip in now to camp going forward into the Six Nations without an issue. They've been in there, they know the expectations. I don't think, with due respect to the guys who've gone home and the people who are going to go home this weekend, I don't think we can really argue. We've got the green jersey on now, not the blue jersey. I think Coombs, yeah, okay, we can talk about him, but if you look at who's in there, I think everyone can go, that's fair enough. You know what I mean? I think the selection's good.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's got his first 15 kind of sorted. So when you're looking at replacements, you're looking at versatility.
Yeah.
Nobody doubts what Coombs can do. I mean, I think his block in that URC final is basically
Mm-hmm.
what won it for Munster. And he's shown he's shown us all what he can do, but he's more of a specialist number 8. So if you're looking for someone to back up Doris, who's got that number 8 jersey nailed down, I don't think anyone argues that. You need someone that can maybe play another couple of positions around. So anyway, there's a lot of talk, and it's a shame everyone who's caught better. We're getting closer to the tournament now, and it's just inevitable that teams' names are going to go. But we'll move on to your second point now, and this is someone else who's not in the team, but we just want to maybe look at the significance of Sexton missing these warm-ups.
Yeah, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Sorry, time has lost all meaning. I think it was a couple of weeks ago we last had a chat. And I think Sexton, okay, number one, we can't really disagree with what happened. That's fine. But I think it actually opened the door for Crowley. It's going to burn starting with Crowley backing up. There's no question now of kind of who's starting, who's backing up, and he's worked it very well for these warm-up games. And I think it's given responsibility last week to Jack, and this week given responsibility to Ross, and they're both pushing each other. We know there are other kickers in the team, there are other boots in the team. It's going to be interesting to see how Ross runs the game with Gibson Park there with him. I really enjoyed Casey in there too, but I think Sexton being missing, we're kind of taking him as red, and that's fine. Like, there's massive credit in the bank for him. So now it's up to the guys to step up. And last week he did it, or 2 weeks, sorry, whenever the game was, he did it. Crowley did it. Now there's a little bit of pressure on Ross now, because like a lot of things had to happen to get him in the shop window. Death taxes Ross Byrne from the sidelines. That's what got him in there. So now he's got to run this game against a level up in terms of opposition. I do feel that that's the running order: Sexton, Byrne, Crowley, with Gibson Park, Casey, Murray. I think that's kind of the way it's gone. But again, that's only up until right now. We have to kick off, and he has to perform, which there is pressure there on Ross to do that. But I think, you know, I think Sexton being out takes a headache away from Andy Farrell. The problem now is, do you play him against Romania, where the chance of him getting hurt against the kind of tier 3 nations is more likely because they're slightly less skillful, more reckless, that kind of ratio. Whereas, you know, as we get in the South Africa and the Scotland, they are more skillful. They will be aiming for him more, but they won't be, certainly, depending on what happens to Farrell now in the appeal, they will not be going aiming for his chin like before. Whereas I think he might get hurt against Romania. So that's the interesting thing. What are they going to do? Are they going to start him in the World Cup against, is it Romania, our first game? Are we going to start him there, or are we going to let him build his way in? But I think Ross Byrne this weekend is going to be great. It's always, I think we need to get a bit more time into Gibson Park with injuries and things like that. We need to get him up and running. But I think our 9 and 10 combinations are healthier than they've been in quite a while. The dependency on Sexton has changed quite a bit without diminishing his responsibility or what we feel about him. The other guys have stepped up. Crowley against Italy was really, really good. He played quite like Sexton, going up to the line and really teasing the Italians. Let's see what Ross does. He's a different type of player, so let's see what he does against England.
Absolutely. I mean, we had an all provincial panel on last weekend, and they were saying Ian Frizzell, the Ulster fan, was talking about how if you look at it positively, our first 2 matches in the World Cup are almost kind of like warm-ups themselves. We know Tonga are a bit stronger going into this, but if we're thinking we're a team that can go to the Final Four and beyond, we've got to be thinking we should be winning those first 2 matches. So they're the games that we can maybe get Sexton up to speed game time wise, and like you say, in the meantime, we can get the likes of Crowley and Byrne. And Crowley, like you say, had a good outing against Italy, so this is a chance for Ross Byrne to show what he can do. Okay, so moving on to your third point now, and this is someone else who isn't starting, but he's in line to make his 100th cap. It's the man himself, Keith Earls.
Listen, 157 years of age, hits the 3 digits. What he has between the ears, we need to clone, not just in rugby, but for everyone in this nation. Like, forgetting about the jersey, we got the green jersey on. He is beyond a warrior in whatever jersey he's in. You look at the haircut that Mac has unleashed on us today, with 100 shaved into the back of it. I can't say enough good things about Keith Earls, and he's talking about playing on past this World Cup. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him get a big contract and more medals. But whatever he wants to do, he gets the keys to the nation. What a player! What a man! He is the man.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. He's done a great service to Ireland over the years, and delighted he's getting the opportunity. There's some who didn't quite make it to the 100, but that's just the way the calendar and injuries and all that kind of stuff. So delighted to see Keith get it. He definitely earned it. Okay, so moving on to our opposition, which is of course England, and we'd be very tempted to talk about someone else who isn't starting for England, but I think we should probably focus on the 23 that are playing. What do you think of their chances?
I think they fancy trying to have another shot, have another bullet. Now, I only saw the highlights of the England game, obviously, tackles aside, but there are a lot of cards in that team. There are a lot of penalties in that team, which brings Ross into the game. But I do feel there's a score here, and I know it was close in the Six Nations. Partly that was pressure, to finish off the tournament. But I do feel that if Ireland can, with the team that we've selected, if Ireland can perform as we should, there is a decent score against this England team. I think the back row battle is going to be interesting. I think the front row battle, I know Furlong has been in and out with injuries. I do think that England will take aim kind of diagonally across the pitch from Furlong back to Prendergast. They're going to try and go that way. It'll be interesting to see if they can do it. But they're not here to mess around. It's almost a free shot. I don't think their coach is good enough to go up against Farrell and the guys and what they're trying to do. But I feel it's going to be a great 20 minutes, a great aggressive 20 minutes, and then you're going to start seeing the game unfold. I think it'll be close, kind of 30, 40 minutes, and then the work rate, the fitness, the nuance, and I think certain things like the Leinster tap and goes, all that sort of stuff is going to start coming in slowly but surely as we get closer to the tournament. But they're not here to mess around, and they know what they did to us last time, and we know that they know what they did to us last time. So there's a lot of things. If they're able to keep us close to 60 minutes, maybe it starts creeping into our heads. I think our heads are different now, but we've been saying that every single 4 years.
Yeah, I think the most significant thing is the card element of what you're saying there. It's they do like to play aggressively, and but when it comes to this particular match, they're coming up against us. I think the biggest worry, it's not so much about the tactical differences. Their coach might not be as experienced at this level, and there's all that stuff going on. But you won't doubt their motivation. I think if I was them, if I was doing this podcast on English rugby, I'd say, geez, we really could have gotten something out of that Grand Slam match in Lansdowne Road. They were a lot better than the scoreline suggests, and they'll come with that kind of determination. And if things aren't going their way, they might push that little harder. Which, considering this is very close to our ideal starting lineup, might have some of us watching from behind the couch or behind our fingers or wherever we're watching from, hoping there's no injuries. But listen, it should be a good contest from the start anyway, and we'll see how that goes. Right, now we move on to the match officials. As you can see there, Paul Williams from New Zealand is the referee, and he's got a Welsh team backing him up there. The weather for Dublin on Saturday evening is meant to be patchy clouds, 15 degrees, not much chance of rain, and not much wind either. So it seems like close to perfect condition program. Yeah, go on.
Can I just throw in one more thing? I was just thinking about it on the drive up here. Massive pressure on the officials this weekend in all of these games, which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing, but I feel that might be one problem. They might be whistle heavy, just based on all the nonsense going on in the last week. And I think that's something, eventually the elastic band comes back to the middle somewhere. But I think that's something we got to look out for. I don't think there's any issues with the referee or the officials in Dublin tomorrow. But I do feel that we need more interactions between the eye in the sky and the ears on the ground. I do think that we need to see that improving. But I do feel we may get a lot of whistles this weekend, and that might be a good bet. More whistles this weekend than any other weekend in the season.
Absolutely. And for those of us not wanting injuries, I suppose more stoppages and plays. We usually moan about stoppages and plays, but if there's more stoppages, it might be better if we might get through the match quicker, and might help the nerves. You never know. Well, that just leaves us to your prediction anyway for the match at the Aviva.
Yeah, it's an Ireland win, and I feel it's the last 25 minutes stretch away. I think it's 10. I think it's 10 points. I think it's a score and a penalty.
Okay. All right. So we're going to leave it there, man. But just before we wrap things up, all of us here at Harpin Manor want to wish the Leinster senior women's team all the best for their second Interpro against Ulster at Energia Park on Saturday, kicking off at 1 p.m. If you're heading to the Aviva Stadium, try to make a stop in Donnybrook first. Or if you have to watch from home, both Interpros are live on TG Car. That all makes for quite a day of live rugby on the telly if you can manage it. Keego, what are your next stand-up gigs on the calendar for you?
So next week we're in Dublin, and then we're heading up to Belfast. So we're in the International on Sunday coming. I think it's again time's lost. Sunday coming. We're in the International. Then we're heading back up to Belfast, and then we're back down to Dublin. So KeegoLaughs.com. You'll find it all there. And hopefully see you there.
Brilliant stuff. All those links, like I say, can be found in the program notes. Well, many thanks to you all for tuning in to our latest preview show. Enjoy the match wherever you are. And be sure to follow us on all the usual social media channels. And we will, of course, have a wrap pod for you recording on Sunday evening. Hopefully you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.